In our last video, we looked at the assault President Trump has launched against Canada and the rest of the world, and Canada's economic response to it. But what else do we need to do when our closest military ally, economic partner, and cultural sibling starts pulling away? What if, instead of defending democracy, it's moving towards authoritarianism? And what if, as the world fractures, Canada finds itself alone, geographically vast, resource rich, and militarily vulnerable? This isn't a Tom Clancy novel. It's a scenario many experts are beginning to consider. Today, we're going to connect the dot between Canada's current military posture, its entanglement with the United States, and the difficult but possible path to military independence. And we will consider some of the upsides in taking a more independent stance. Our country, our world, is changing at an accelerating pace, faster and faster. It may feel disconnected, like hurtling through a maelstrom, but when you peel back the layers, unpack the pieces, you start to see the Canadian connections. As discussed in our last video, President Trump has thrown the world trading order into chaos, with massive tariffs against every country on the planet. At the same time, he is trashing traditional allies, cozying up to Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, threatening old friends, and generally withdrawing the US from its traditional role as leader of the liberal international order. He is questioning NATO, withdrawing from global agreements, and embracing isolationist and even expansionist rhetoric. If this continues, and the drift towards authoritarianism continues, Canada's defense strategy could crack. Why? Because for over 70 years, Canada has counted on one simple fact. If we got into trouble, the Americans would show up. But what if they don't? Canada does have a military, a good one, professional, well-trained, and capable. But it's small and critically dependent on US equipment, intelligence, and logistical support. Take fighter jets. Canada is buying the F-35 from US company Lockheed Martin. They require regular software updates from the manufacturer to fight at peak efficiency, and that software is rumored to have a kill switch the Americans could use to render them useless. Surveillance satellites? Launched by NASA. Missile defense? We don't have one. We depend on NORAD, and NORAD is functionally American-run. But what if Canada needed to act independently? Moving towards military independence is not easy. It takes a lot of money, a lot. It means rethinking procurement, investing in domestic manufacturing, and breaking decades of institutional habit. Canada would need to build or co-develop its own missile defense systems, expand and modernize its navy, especially for Arctic patrol, increase its airlift, surveillance, and drone capabilities, produce or source more weapon systems domestically. And then there's scale. Canada simply doesn't have enough industrial base to build its own defense systems yet. But Canada has other things countries would envy: a vast supply of critical mineral and natural resources, one of the most stable political systems in the world, a strong, educated tech sector, close relationships with European countries that are also seeking more strategic autonomy, and, importantly, Canada has geography. The Arctic is melting, and as new sea lanes open up, it's becoming a contested space. Whoever controls the Arctic will have enormous leverage over the global trade and defense. If Canada doesn't exert control now, others will. So what would a made-in-Canada military look like in 2040? Domestically built drones patrolling the Arctic, light armored vehicles from Ontario securing remote regions, advanced surveillance satellites designed in Vancouver and launched by Canadian firms, modern naval vessels built in Halifax and Vancouver, AI-powered battlefield systems developed at Waterloo and UBC, national military defense system co-developed with European allies like France and Sweden. Across Canada, organizations are already thinking about this future. The Canadian Global Affairs Institute, the Canadian Defence and Security Network at Carleton, CAE in Montreal, which builds world-class simulators, General Dynamics Land Systems in London, Ontario, Irving Shipbuilding in Halifax, and Seaspan in Vancouver, Magellan Aerospace in Ontario, and academics from the Centre for Military and Strategic Studies in Calgary to the Centre for Defence and Security Studies in Manitoba are mapping out scenarios for a more autonomous Canadian defence strategy. Canada doesn't need to go it alone. European countries like Sweden, France, and Germany are investing in their own military independence and looking for like-minded allies. With deeper defense trade and technology sharing, Canada could develop key systems in partnership with these countries, reducing dependency on the US without sacrificing interoperability with NATO. If Canada wants to remain sovereign and independent in a more contested world, it needs to be able to act without approval from the United States. That means a clear national defense industrial strategy. The Business Council of Canada says the Government of Canada can safeguard Canadians and honor its international commitments by investing in a strong and sovereign defense industrial base. By doing so strategically, it can also supercharge Canada's broader economic security and prosperity. We've done this before. During the Second World War, starting from scratch, we built one of the mightiest defense industrial bases in the world. Despite our tiny population of 11 million at the time, Canada's war production by the end of the war ranked 4th overall among the Allies, behind only the US, UK, and Soviet Union. We also need major investments in Arctic capability. We should prioritize capabilities which address the security needs of the Arctic, including the monitoring of our vast, harsh, and sparsely populated land and sea territory on near real-time basis, while building capabilities to rapidly deploy and support our military. And special consideration needs to be given to the development of dual-use technologies and infrastructure. Examples of potentially relevant dual-use technologies include things like nuclear reactors, patrol aircraft, heavy icebreakers, and low Earth orbit satellite constellations. We need to reform how the military procurement works, overhaul the process to reflect modern business practices so that Canada's defense industrial base can provide critical goods and services to Canada and its allies at speed, cost, and scale. It won't be easy, it won't be cheap, but the cost of doing nothing could be much higher. In addition to better protecting Canada's sovereignty, building up our independent military capability and defense industry could drive economic growth and innovation. Sweden, with a population of only 10.5 million, punches well above its weight economically with its robust, innovative defense sector, the 9th largest in the world, accounting for 2% of their GDP and employment. The Swedish combined public and private sector allocations to research and development are over 3.5% of their GDP per year, the second highest in the world. It's the 12th richest country in terms of GDP per capita, so not a bad example to emulate. In our more contentious world, with the United States turning inward, or even expansion, and drifting towards more authoritarianism, where democracy is under threat, and where climate change is redrawing the global map, Canada needs to be ready to stand on its own, and the time to act is rapidly running out. Stay curious, stay engaged,